the morning of the 10th of April 1943, I caught the train to Beverley, Yorkshire, not knowing that 30 odd years later, my son would also be going there as a soldier. The camp was the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry, and the barracks were not far out of town. Training began, and everything was at double speed, light infantry march, almost a trot. The next 6 weeks were a jumble of constantly changing from uniform to denim overalls to gym kit, about every 1 hour session, marching on the square, PT in the gymnasium, unarmed combat, assault courses, and route marching to change us from civilians and get us into condition. I'd already thought about joining the 11th Hussars, and later I was taught about its traditions and guidons awarded from battles. The 11th were at Waterloo and Balaclava in the charge of the Light Brigade. The 11th wore red trousers in ceremonial events and were sometimes referred to as the cherry pickers because hundreds of years ago they were attacked and fought the French in an orchard. Later on, I and everyone in the regiment wore ceremonial uniform for anniversaries, often in the sergeant's mess, but that was much later on.
Young men of London, fall in and follow me, boys. Young men of London, if you would not be starved by cruel masters, if you would not be ruled by anyone except the Queen, God bless her, but who do have the urge to seek wealth, fine clothes, and glory, you can do no better than to enlist for the 11th Regiment of Hussars. Aye. Culloden, Flanders, Salamanca, Waterloo. An escort to Prince Albert on the occasion of his wedding, after which he called us his own. God bless him. Our dress is bright and warm. Our mounts is mastered and mannered, gentle in ride, calm in battle, and our officers just whisper. They being of the opinion, like to myself, that more can be done glorious by leading from the front than can ever be brought off by prods up the arse from the rear. Hold your head up, sir. I believe you would look a rare treat in stable dress. Are you respectable?
I've often thought of enlisting.
I thought you had, by the fine way you carry yourself.
I'm a bad character, just out of jail.
In that case, you've already served Her Majesty. Lord Cardigan's cherry bombs, follow me!
Are they chances of advancement?
We were allowed out of barracks after a week when we could dress properly and not look like a lot of Nancy boys. We used to have a beer or two at the Green Man by the Tower Gate, and also at another pub called the Leg of Mutton, a bit of a dive, in a cellar, wooden floors and benches, but good enough for the licentious soldiery. After 6 weeks, we passed out and were divided up into our preferences and capabilities, RAC, RA, RE, infantry, etc. And I went to Farnborough to the 55th Training Regiment Royal Armoured Corps. We started 3 weeks training in RAC style, real slow tank park stroll marching, changing our ammo boots with metal studs for much lighter non-studded boots for use on armoured vehicles, and getting our black berets and RAC cap badges, bulling our boots to a high gloss, and generally acquainting ourselves with Royal Armoured Corps life and customs. Aptitude tests came along to decide what our army trade was to be: driver/operator, gunner/operator, driver/mechanic, etc. Although everyone had to learn to drive, we also had to learn every job there was. I became a driver/operator, wireless that is. We all had driving lessons in 15-ton trucks, although you were lucky to get 2 hours a day because of the numbers of us. Bit of a laugh, really. You would get into a truck you had never been in before with 6 blokes in the back and an instructor. Go on, he would say, you know what to do. And somehow off you would go, with wild yells and shouts if it was jerky. We had had 3 weeks theory in the classroom, and there you were with a wagon load of passengers. Of course, you got the basics of changing gear, driving straight and keeping distance, but apart from army vehicles, there was no other traffic on the roads due to petrol rationing. Anyhow, driver/operator meant 3 weeks driving trucks, tanks, and armored cars. There was 16 weeks wireless theory, fault finding, Morse code practice, and map reading, mostly in small utility trucks with a wireless in the back. After 3 weeks, gunnery, ammunition recognition, gun operation, Bren, Sten, and machine gun. You got selection for the regiment of your choice if you were lucky, or allocated if not. There were 5 of us mates there: Johnny Philpin, Matt Guyman, Johnny Noble, Bill Balch, and me. Was from Newcastle, an ex-band boy who was old enough to start adult service, 17 years old, and he was already an 11th Hussar. He said, "Why don't you all join with me?" So we did. Johnny Philpin became my best mate. He came from Wallasey, where his father was a vicar near Liverpool. He was the only person I ever met who did not think he would survive the war. Indeed, he got killed at Sambreville, Belgium in 1944. He was attacked and his scout car was shot up, so the crew bailed out into a ditch. Foolishly, he tried to retrieve his small pack for his cigarettes and got it. Matt Guyman was a bit of a crawler. Eventually, he became a sergeant, and we were in the sergeant's mess together. Then he took a commission in the Signals Corps and became a captain before he retired. Johnny Noble was also a good mate of mine. He came from Liverpool, but after he got demobbed in 1946, I never saw or heard from him again. Bill Balch joined the regiment from the 3rd RTR. Whilst we were at Farnborough, we used to see each other or go on leave together because he lived at Queen's Park like me, so we both knew all the pubs around there and had some good leaves together. He got demobbed from the 11th and was killed in a motorcycle accident about 6 months after the war ended. To finish off the course, we went to the 3rd Commando Brigade at Bognor Regis for a month. To get there from Farnborough, the instructors split us into 3 groups. My group started off marching very early in the morning. The next lot started later on bicycles, big old army jobs, and the 3rd lot left later in trucks. We met at some prearranged point and had our sandwiches there, swapped to the bicycles and onto another point and handed over the bicycles and finished off in the trucks. At Bognor Regis, we did lots of forced marches with Bren guns, assault courses, bags of PT, and on the last couple of days they took us to a quarry near Hatfield in Hertfordshire. There we did house-to-house search tactics and finished off with scaling a cliff about 200 feet high. Bloody terrifying, but you did not want to be a sissy. I remember the sergeant in charge of our group hated heights, but always did everything first to show us, and looked absolutely sick and awful for a few minutes before. The course ended and we were told, "Okay, it's over. Bugger off back to Farnborough now." The 4 of us got a lift on a railway van by clinging between the car and the van part. It was okay until it started raining and we got soaked. I don't remember where we got a lift to, but we split up. Matt wanted to be first back to camp because he was near Hull. The 2 Johnnies and I got on the underground ARD, went to my home. Mum gave us a good bacon and egg meal and off we went again. Dad came along to Western Avenue with us and he was trying to flag the lorries down, but with no success. We walked a couple of miles and then got a short lift about to where Heathrow Airport is now, then walked on a bit more. Then we saw a great limousine coming along. We thumbed it down and he slowed down and we saw it was a taxi. "Sorry, mate, we haven't any money." "That's okay, I'll take you to Ascot. I've got a fare to pick up, just the job." Onto the outskirts of Ascot then. As it was near mealtime, we got the local bus to Farnborough High Street, went into the barrack room, and there was Matt, all done up in his kit. "What's on?" I got back at lunchtime and he said, "Got caught for guard duty, served him bloody right." Having been accepted for the 11th Hussars, the 3 of us, Matt, Jory Philpin, Ard, myself, we entrained for Berkhamsted, Hearts. Picked up by the duty truck, and we were taken to the camp. It was in the middle of a forest, miles from anywhere. We got bunked into Nissan huts in the forest near a bloody great stone column in the valley. The place was a beauty spot called the Golden Valley. In the autumn, the regiment had just come from Africa, and it was really great. At last, we were among real soldiers doing a real job, not training anymore. We were posted to D Squadron, and Johnny and I to the same troop. Being driver/ops, we were given a Dingo Scout car each and then told to get it run in. All new vehicles of all sorts were there, new and needing to get 500 miles on the clock to run them in. It did not matter where you went to do the 500 miles, then you parked it in the run-in part of the vehicle park and got another vehicle. Some chaps went to Cornwall and Scotland and all sorts. I went home a few times and to Aylesbury, to relatives as well. Once this was done, we were allocated our own vehicle with its toolkit and equipment and were responsible for it. Next job was to waterproof your vehicle ready for day one, as the invasion, or D-Day, was known as. The waterproofing was in case the assault boats could not get right into the beach. Nobody knew where or when day one was to be, but we all knew it could not be far off.